Hi, team. I'm Sarah Brown, co host of The Mothers, where we talk to mothers making a dent in the universe and raising the next generation. I'm recording this opener straight off a run, which feels appropriate given our guest, and is also a test of how many people actually watch the video of our full podcast, which you can do, and bless your hearts if you do. But our guest today is runner, comedian, content creator, and mother of three, Laura Green, perhaps better known as her online persona, Laura McGreen. Laura, in her own words, produces reels that make fun of herself as a lifelong runner and all of the quirks that come with that. She loves writing and producing short skits, hosting events. She just produced and hosted the game show ahead of the Boston Marathon, and hanging out with her husband and 3 kids. The mission behind the laughs is to close the gap between the novice and pro runners with humor, which I am entirely behind. Humor is the most powerful leveler, humanizer, disarming tool. And if you can wield it correctly, you can connect with anyone. And Laura has. In this conversation, we talk about going from a physical therapy career to content creation, how she was absolutely rocked mentally and physically by the arrival of her first kid. I agree, going from 0 to 1 was tough. 2 to 3, also tough. Maybe it's just all tough. Why Laura's never going to put her kids in her content, mostly. Why it's so important to find opportunities to take risks as we get older. And where she gets the, quote, confidence of a white man. Which brings me to an important point. Laura's sister, Kelly, is apparently responsible for Laura being Laura. But Laura claims Kelly won't listen to this episode. Kelly, in the event that you do, you can stop listening now because that's the best part of it. You gave her white man confidence. All right, lastly, before we kick things over to Laura, 2 exciting updates from the mothers. 1, we have our first sponsor. This episode is proudly sponsored by Little Saints. More than a non-alcoholic beverage, it's a mushroom-infused cocktail that elevates the soul. Use code THEMOTHERS20 for 20% off your order from littlesaints.com. For anyone that really enjoyed Memorial Day weekend, this one's for you. Second, we need your help growing and getting paid to make great content. So please take a second to subscribe and give us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to this, and follow us on Instagram at TheMothersPod. Maybe this is me channeling white man confidence. All right, party people, let's get into it with Laura Green.
It's like the size of a big closet, and it has multi-functions. It's very Cambridge.
That's incredible.
That is
I
incredible.
love that. Is it actually utilized as a nursery? Like, does baby
this is
sleep
her
in
room
it?
now. Yeah, I know.
That's
I know.
great.
Well, V has a baby on her boob, so
I
she
do.
went up to you.
Oh, you do.
Who
Oh my
doesn't
God.
use a
I
nursery?
do too.
I know. I'm like, I would flash you my tick because it's fully out right now. But he, on the contrary, does not use a room, which was why I was curious. I was like, are we using it as an office because it's not being used as a bedroom?
No, we moved her to her room day 6.
Iconic. I wish.
I was like, you
Yeah.
make too much noise in this room. We'll see you later.
It's
Yeah.
like, why are the tiniest humans the loudest possible? I'm like, what noises are we making right now?
Totally.
All night.
Yes. And what noises are the grown-ups making that we don't know? So that's
Definitely not whatever they're doing.
But Laura, what's up? Thank you for doing this. You're like
Yeah.
the first person ever that has wired headphones. So
Yeah.
Well,
like,
I
shout
actually
out.
just
Was it off a flight?
I dug. I think these are from like a Delta flight. Yeah, I had a podcast like a million years ago, and so I was just in the basement like emptying out my podcast bag, and I'm like, "What's in here?" But yeah,
Well,
They
you're
look
very
great.
figured I would
You
try it
sound
out.
great.
you
Yeah.
seem very comfortable. Have you been on camera before? This feels maybe new to you. Are you gonna be okay?
No, I think we'll be okay.
You're amazing.
Good for
One of the
you.
things I was
Yeah.
going to ask you was like, where does this energy come from? You have very like camp counselor.
It is
energy.
camp counselor. Yeah, it's camp counselor. But like my friends will ask me that too because they all work like these really important jobs. Like they're all like trying to solve the world's
Yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys, during the day, I am alone, chilling. Like I can like do my laundry and like grocery shop and like listen to
Think
a
of funny
podcast.
things. Yeah.
And to make stupid content. And like that's my job. Whereas like you're in back to back Zoom calls with like people,
Serious people.
investors and like
Yes.
talking about like cancer research, and then they're like completely drained when their kids get home. Whereas I'm the opposite. I'm like, where are my buddies at?
Yeah.
I'm bored. Someone come hang out with me.
Well, wherever it's coming from, we're grateful that it's there. But I was in those back-to-back. Google was a fun place, but I finally left to start this with Vee, who was our very, very first nanny.
You guys, this is giving very armchair expert.
I know, on purpose, but also by accident.
So you're Monica.
I'm so
hoping
glad.
to be
Yes.
as successful as Monica. I'm going to buy my house very soon.
Yes, exactly. And me as Dex and Chris. But yeah, so V is the best, but V now has her first kid too. So I left Google, didn't know what I wanted to do next, which was a little bit risky, but I knew I wanted to do something else. And in that detoxing process was living the mom life. And the conversation was about kids and parenting, or the conversation was about just how awful it is, or maybe can we make fun of how awful it is, or how does a mom hack corporate America? But there was nothing that was about like, actually, how are we? Like, it wasn't about us in the very like Pink song. Like, what about us? And I'm someone who is very much a seeker and very much like, what is my identity? Who am I? And how does work align with who I am? And how does being a mother align with my identity? So I was like, wouldn't it be better if we could have conversations with rock star mothers out there that are doing all this shit? And then you're like, wow, you're also raising kids. Like, how is this all happening? And how do you feel about it? And how have kids informed, contributed to, also probably made harder, but in many ways sort of empowered what you want to do professionally? That was more aligned to what I was curious about, and I didn't feel like it was happening. So here we are, trying to find all the rock stars that are doing all these things and also happen to have kids, and like, how do those merge?
Let's do it.
We like to start with this fairly open-ended, but like sort of how do we get to the Laura of today? Like, how do you tell the story currently of the path to Laura Green / Laura McGreen?
Yeah. How do we get to Laura of today? Okay. Okay. Let's
You'll
go.
start? You'll want to take it first?
Let's go. Okay. So conservative, Republican, upstate New York upbringing.
Sweet.
Big. Love it.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, right? But no, like a big Irish Catholic family, 1 of 5 kids, super loving, super competitive, very like athletic upbringing, where the assumption was you go to college, like middle class, you go to college. We don't have money really to give you to go to college, but like you'll make it happen type deal, which we all did. And then like you get a good job and you like just classic, like kind of like middle class America. Yeah. But ended up at Northeastern in a city. And so I think that's where everything kind of shifted for me. I came from like a pretty, I wouldn't say it was strict, but kind of like your classic, like suburban America upbringing, and pretty sheltered, very white. Went to school in Boston, which like I went there to run and to go to physical therapy school. And so I ran on the track team, and just kind of everything shifted from there because I was like immediately immersed into a city, which will change your perspective on absolutely everything, and absolutely loved it. When I graduated, me and my best friend became traveling physical therapists. And so this is like, we were a big family, so we didn't have a lot of money. So like, I never went on a plane. So I was like on my first flight when we went to like a track meet in Florida or something. So when I graduated from college, it was like, oh, let's go, And so me and my best friend became traveling PTs, and we would move from, they were all domestic cities. We were going to like all Chicago, San Francisco, but then in between the contracts, we would travel around the world. And I just didn't say no to anything. And that was like kind of like the biggest shift for me, was then getting out into the world. We worked at a hospital in Nepal, and then trekked around the Annapurna circuit, and then went to India and Greece and Africa, and just really cool. Just like people like talk about their 30s and 40s being their best decades. I loved my 20s. I crushed
you were the one.
my 20s.
Laura peaked at 20.
I peaked. I totally peaked. I had the most fun. I had a paycheck, like for the first time in my life, I had a paycheck and a passport. So I had a ball in my 20s. And I mean, all consistently throughout, I started running when I was like 12 or 13 years old. And so this has always been like the constant thread. I competed when I was younger. And then once I graduated, I was never good enough to go pro or anything like that. And so when I graduated, it just kind of was like, well, I keep doing this thing every day. You know, discipline is something that's baked into every single one of my siblings. And whether it was on purpose for my parents or not, it just happened. And so we're all daily runners 7 days a week for the most part.
Dang.
And it's just part of who we are. And so,
So wait, sorry, did your parents run too? Did you say that?
No.
Or just the kids? Cool.
yeah,
That's
just
so
the kids.
funny.
It was like my older brother kind of set the path and then we kind of just followed. We were all soccer, basketball players, but
Yeah.
it was running that really kind of got us all into college, you know, so
Awesome.
that helped. But yeah, and it just was this vehicle to see the world. You know, you land in Pokhara, Nepal. I'm going to go for a run and like,
Yeah.
and see what I can see. So very, very consistent part of just kind of my identity. But
Yeah.
Traveled around, was a physical therapist for the last, how old am I? I'm 39. So the last 15 years. I ended up in SF for 7 years because then I met my now husband. And so we kind of stayed put there for a while, started a community there called November Project, and which was like a really early morning fitness crew. And
I didn't realize you started that because I remember
well, I
hearing
started it in
about-
San Francisco. It started in
Okay,
Boston
yeah.
with my
Yeah.
two college friends.
Cool.
And then we brought it to SF. And then I kind of helped like run it for a few years. Yeah. So then I got pregnant. And so then we moved back to the East Coast to be close to family. And it just, that's when that's like chapter 2, right? It's like when you become a parent, I don't even, there are days where I like think about Laura in her 20s and I'm like, oh, what am I
fun.
making her proud? She's cool. She was
You
so
like me?
fun.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. She
Yeah.
was so free. I think that's the biggest thing. I just was so free. And then, and so now I have 3 kids. Like the first
Yeah.
kid was the hardest. And then like now I got 3 and we're
Yeah.
cruising and we live in Cambridge and now I make content full time. So I shifted after my second kid, after the pandemic. I started making comedy skits online and it took off so fast that I could quit my physical therapy job, which was amazing. I love PT. I'll probably go back to being a PT at some point, but it's nice to kind of just explore this part of my brain for
Totally.
now.
Yeah.
So I'm like a full-time content creator on mostly Instagram.
Yeah. Beautiful. We try to
Yeah.
avoid all the others. I hate being
Yeah.
on TikTok.
I mean,
scares me.
no, TikTok's good, you guys. TikTok's so good.
I am a huge consumer, but
Yeah.
as far as creating content, I'm like, there's so many options and things that I'm like, I don't understand what this is. But I waste about 2 hours a day scrolling. It's bad.
It's bad. This
Yeah.
week, I feel so burnt out from it because I can use the excuse like, this is my job.
It's work.
Yeah.
And then that gets you. So I took all the apps off my phone for the week.
Wise.
Good for you.
Wise.
I'm
Good
like,
job.
it's time
Great
for me
boundary.
to actually do some real work and
Yeah.
not scroll. So
Yeah.
it's embarrassing, but necessary.
No, it's
Yeah.
real life. It's
Yeah.
okay.
So you were going through like sort of a career pivot alongside having more and more kids. How
Mhm.
did having kids kind of influence what kind of work you wanted to be doing, or maybe in what way you wanted to be funny, or like how you wanted to share yourself?
But definitely. Yeah. The biggest thing for me was the flexibility. So I was working at a hospital, which was right down the street, which was incredible. And I was only working per diem, but I was working almost every weekend. And I mean, you work at a hospital, it's a rigid scheduled, it's like 8 to 4:30. So,
Yeah.
and there's kind of no getting around it. And prior to that, I was doing home health, which does have more flexibility where you kind of like pop in and out of people's homes. And I got used to that. Then I went to the hospital, which I loved during the pandemic, but it like created a more rigid schedule for me. And I realized like, I can't do that with the kids. And I know that's what 95% of mothers and fathers do. But like for me, I was like, if I have the opportunity to get out of this, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
And because like, I don't know, there's a kid that's sick every week, or there's a snowstorm, or there's whatever. And then you're playing the game with your spouse of, okay, whose job is more
My
important?
job's more important.
Yes.
Mhm. Whose
Yeah.
job is more important? And you're not saying
Obviously
it out
it's
loud,
yours.
but you're implying it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it felt, once I realized I could make more or even the same as my PT job, I was out because I was like, oh, the value of having flexibility is invaluable. That doesn't make any sense, but you get it. So now I have this job that I completely make my own schedule. And now I'm the go-to. Like if there's a sick kid, like I can reschedule pretty much everything on my plate. But it's nice. And like my 6-year-old gets off the bus at 2:30. We go to the playground for 3 hours until the other kids like are done with daycare. And it's so nice to have that individual time with him. I have Fridays completely off for the baby. So it's just her and I. So I look at that and I'm like, well, even if I was barely breaking even, it would be worth it for me right now in this season of life. But I'm also incredibly privileged. Like I have a husband who has a great job and he was like, do it, go for it.
You guys are living the dream. I love it.
I don't know if he would say that.
Because,
how is his season of life right now?
I'm living my dream.
He's in winter. You're summering. It's great.
No, he loves his job. He loves his job, but it's definitely more of a grind than my job.
But I do think you have to zoom out and think like, what's the big family picture? Even if it's better, a little bit worse for one, like in aggregate, I think that's like the goal when you zoom out. But Vee,
when
you
you transitioned from the PT hospital life to content creation, do you have 1 or 2 kids at that point?
2.
Okay. Yeah. And then like, did that feel like a terrifying thing to leave this and be like, okay, like I know I want to do this and it sounds easy to be like, well, I'm making the same amount of money. So what, like the ramifications of failure or the pressure on yourself to succeed, it's all on you now versus like when you're in a hospital, you're like, well, I have an agreement. I work here. I can't, I know I'm going to get a paycheck. What was that like? How did that?
It was, I gave myself 3 months. So I think it was October and I was like, okay, we'll see how it goes until the end of the year. And then at the end of the year, I was like, okay, I'll give myself 3 more months. And the beauty of being a PT, while it may never make me a millionaire, it's consistent and it's reliable. Like I'll always have a job. So I knew that I could always go back. Maybe not to that specific job, but I could find something to make money. And so that's kind of like, I still operate that way because this is not like, there's no 401k, like there is, you are running like absolutely by yourself and content creation could die out tomorrow or Instagram can shut down. And that's like my main one. So, and in which case I'm out of luck, like there's nothing I can do.
You'll find a way.
Crawl my way back to the hospital and beg for a job. But so like I operate in like these, now it's gotten a little bit longer. I do 6-month chunks, but
great.
I like look ahead 6 months, but I am in no way relying on this steady income for like the next 20 years. And I think, and some people would say, no, you can because content creation is only growing, but I think that's foolish.
You're like, maybe.
Yeah.
For right now, maybe. Yeah.
Also, just like the state of the economy is not the most stable. So
there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
I'll hide some money underneath my mattress right now and just ride it out as best I can.
Good.
But yeah, I don't think that I'm a natural entrepreneur by any means. I don't have that like grind. I'm trying to work as little as possible and make the most money, but I am good at just like getting my shit done. Like I had representation for about 6 months. It didn't work out. I didn't like having someone speak for me or even write an email for me. Like, I'm like, oh, like you just realize that if you really take a step back,
hit us,
you're
Laura,
you're smarter than about 90% of the people on this planet.
Yeah. Well, you in particular. I also think, not that now I'm like sort of getting to know you beyond your content, but you're someone who it seems like you know your voice and maybe that you've known your voice for a long time. And most people are just sort of figuring out their voice now. And that I think makes you very fucking funny, but it also makes it like really matter what you say is intentional and you want to make sure it's consistent.
I say outlandish things in the comfort of my own home to Connor, to my husband, and he just laughs at me.
He's like, probably don't say that.
But we have friends that are just significantly more accomplished. Like we are the only people that we know that don't have our PhD. That's the Cambridge effect, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone around us has multiple degrees. They're incredibly smart. But I'll sit at a dinner table, and while I'm like humble, like I obviously recognize the fact that they are much more knowledgeable. I'm not fighting with anyone about anything that I don't know. But I'll like leave a dinner and I'll be like, yeah, I could study that, and I think I could. Yeah, I think I could be a lawyer about this. And he's like, "You're insane," but probably
and
true.
probably true. Oh yes,
but instead I'm just at home like making videos on my telephone. So I don't think I have anything to back that up with.
No, I love it.
No, but I feel like that energy and like that confidence and I don't know, the way to think about yourself is why you're successful. So like it's clearly
a little delusional, but I think it helps.
We all gotta be a little crazy.
Helps, but also like in these emails, my emails every single day are negotiating with brands, and you just have to be like, no, I'm worth this.
More money, please.
If you don't think I'm worth this, then see ya. That's okay. Like, and you just get so used to that. At first, it's really uncomfortable because I mean, I didn't come from a business world. Like I came from healthcare, where they're like, we'll pay you in bagels, and I'm like, thank you so much.
Cream cheese, maybe. No,
thank you so much. But yeah, it's been an interesting learning curve, and I have like learned things about myself in terms of like more so just watching other people do it and back down, or may not have as like strong of a voice. And I'm like, why are you even questioning yourself? Why would you even question yourself? You're amazing. Why don't you just go do that? Like it's delusion, but it helps.
Totally. And I'm sure also
I have the confidence of a white man. Like it's how I walk into a room.
Yes. Where did that come from? Has that just always been true?
Are your siblings like that? Or your parents
one
like
of
that?
many kids. My husband is the oldest of 6 kids. And they all have strong personalities, but not all of them in the same way. I don't know. Is that like kind of core to where it started?
Personalities. I have no idea how. We're like 3 of us are Aries. Maybe that helps. I'm the middle child.
He also has the confidence of a white man.
Yeah.
He happens to be a white man.
He happens to be one. I mean, my sister, she won't listen to this, so I can say it, but my older sister.
Hey!
Sorry. She's not a podcaster. She's not.
We'll find her. She's going to fucking listen to this.
So she won't listen, but
she texted me.
She's our first VIP person. Go ahead.
She texted me a couple days ago. She's been interviewing. She just had another kid, and is
even worse, she's not going to listen, and she's a mom.
In between jobs, and she's like, I don't really know what I want to do, but I kind of just want to be home with the kids for a while. But she also is going through the motions of trying to find a job. And she texts me and she goes, ugh, I just nailed an interview.
They want me so hard.
That was such a Kelly text. Like, she's upset because she just aced an interview. Most people would be like, I don't know. I think I messed up that question. I was unsure about this. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, I guess that's where I get it from. My older sister.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. My parents are, I wouldn't say they're like this at all. I don't know I don't know where it came from. And
really
I didn't come from parents that were like, you can do anything you set your mind to. They were not like that. They were like, stay in your lane. Like, like get a hardworking job, get a good job, get as high of a degree as you can afford. Yeah. And work. You're going to work. Like, we started working when we were 13. So, and so I guess like they instilled things in us that way, but it was never like, yes, Laura, you're incredible. You're amazing. You're so smart. You're going to be so successful. There was none of that.
Yeah. That's probably why.
They still don't even know what I do for work. Like they're like, I'm like, oh, I was in the Boston Globe. Can you believe it? They're like, for what?
Yeah.
Why did they put you in the Boston Globe? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, and also you just ran, I was like following along with your content, but you did this, the game show was your own thing. I didn't realize you created that whole event and hosted it. That's incredible. And you did stand up for 15 minutes.
Than I want to admit it was.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
good job.
Stand up is terrifying.
Yeah.
That was really scary. That was for sure scary because it's not like I have all these reps. You know how stand-ups like go to comedy clubs and they're just like getting rep after rep after rep and they get so much better at it. I don't have that. I mean, I could, I guess, go to open mics and try it, but
We'll just line
That's
up your
scary.
kids. That's
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah,
what they're
I
there
totally-
for. Built-in
Tell me
Go to
which
bed
one
at
is most
8:30.
funny.
I don't think it would work out. So I don't think I have a career as a stand-up comedian, but I wanted to challenge myself because I think that we all get complacent in our jobs and like what we're doing. For those who don't know, I'm sure most people don't, there's like a whole marathon circuit where when there's a world major like Boston, Chicago, New York City Marathon, the whole weekend surrounds that race. And all of the events are kind of the same thing. It's like you either go for a little shakeout run or you like host a panel with professional runners, which is lovely, but you get used to it as like a content creator or as a host or as a podcast host. And so I was like, let me try and challenge myself to do something bigger and different. And so I created a mountain of work for myself.
I would imagine,
Yeah, I kind of regretted it, but not. I had the absolute best time, and it's hopefully something that we'll take on the road. So we'll bring it to all these different races. So
yeah.
Now you've done it before, so you got this.
yeah.
You have the
So
blueprint.
now I can.
Now it's
I don't know
easy.
if I'll do stand up every time, but I was like, I need to try it and see.
Yeah.
And man, there is truly nothing like it. It's such an adrenaline rush to have a crowd of people laugh at a joke that you told.
Laugh
Like
at
Totally
you.
in your hands,
But in a good way.
Yeah.
Yes, in a good way.
Yeah. But I love that you also described it because you like shared the content, obviously, but you also described it in some post that was like, how lucky am I to like be able to take a risk like this? And I think to your point, like people are scared of, especially as we get older, like scared of doing scary things. And there's so much growth on the other side, even if it doesn't go well.
Have the opportunity to, right?
Yeah, true.
It's like you get locked into your job and your routine and your kids' routine, and like who has time to try something new?
Yeah.
Like luckily I got paid for it, so because of that I was able to do it. But even having a hobby as a parent is like kind of unheard of sometimes because it's just we're so busy with everyone else's hobbies.
Exactly. They are our hobbies. Totally.
Do you feel like that energy and this like approach to things translates to your parenting? And like if your kids like role reversal were like choosing to do the things that you were doing or like whatever, would you be like, fuck yeah, full send, like absolutely? Or like would that terrify the shit? Like, do you feel like you're more like your parents in parenting, or do you feel like
Question. It's hard to say, I guess, now.
because they're younger? And,
yeah, my oldest kid is like very first kid energy. He's type A, studious. Last night he was stressed out before bed because he like, maybe didn't check a thing off of a homework. I don't know.
Oh.
And I'm like, who cares, man? Because I'm like so type B. I'm like, whatever, just figure it out tomorrow. And so we don't relate in many ways.
Is your husband like that? Like, does he take after your husband or not really?
I think so. Yeah, Connor's like, he's pretty laced up. He's got, he's like clean.
He is very buttoned up.
Yeah, he's got his work.
That's
I
cool
mean,
that
you would
you're-
probably know better. I don't even know what Connor does for work. So
He
like,
seems very responsible. I would trust him with any deadline.
yeah. So he's got that.
Okay.
Whereas I'm just kind of like winging it. But yeah, my parents, oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
Well, like the way that you parent versus how your parents parented. How do you feel like you bring that to your kids?
So like my parents right now they remind me every year to renew my physical therapy license. They're like, make sure you don't, I'm like, don't worry. Like they have no appreciation for the arts, but truly they don't have any faith in entertainment or they just like they want to see their kids like in a very steady, like my brother works for the state of New York, and that basically is my mother's dream job because it's like you got a pension,
State
you
of
can
New York is
retire.
not going anywhere.
Yes. So like that's lovely.
Yeah.
To my mom. That's success to my mom. My mom kind of views what I'm doing as a hobby with a paycheck. Sure. When it comes to my kids, I mean, I can actually see both sides because I get it, right? It's like you don't want to just but like I think like what my mom doesn't realize is like what I'm doing is like putting myself out there, and there's a level of bravery there. I wouldn't call it bravery
100%.
on myself, but if I was watching someone else do it, I'd be like, oh, that's really brave.
Yeah.
And so like to watch like my kids do something like that, I would be so excited for them. Yeah. and just like, try and stoke the flame as much as possible just to see where it goes.
I think it's so great for them to be able to see that, like that's such a major risk that they probably don't like recognize or appreciate now. But looking back, like when they're your age, being like, oh my God, my mom like quit her job and did all this crazy, like that's so cool to be able to say that.
They have no idea what I do for work. I told my son the other day. So sometimes when they want a quick answer, I just say I'm a physical therapist because that's just a lot easier.
Mommy's a big doctor.
Yes, totally. Well, for a while, thought Connor was a milkman, and I let them believe that. I thought that was really
My kids
funny.
thought I was an Amazon delivery person because I would always walk in with the Amazon packages. I was like, okay, that works too.
Mommy's Jeff Bezos. Mommy's name is Jeff.
So
That's
and then
really
I
funny.
was at the playground one day, and I try and write, not use my phone. I try and write skits as much as possible. It helps my brain work better. And so I was just writing a skit out, and Jack was like, "What are you doing?" And so I was like, "Oh, this is my work. I just write jokes in a notebook." So he thinks that's like my whole job, which I love.
It's
and
really cute.
I'm into it. And so then he comes home now and he goes, "I have a new joke for your notebook." And then he'll tell me it, and it's like has no punchline. It makes no sense. But I'm like, I'm gonna write that.
That's
one.
how we
That's
start.
A good one. That's a good one. Yes.
Really sweet.
So
So
where does
cute.
humor come from for you? As I was sleuthing about like looking up as much as I could find about you on the internet, which there is a little bit, but
Now there is.
but yeah, I love this idea of like closing the gap between a casual runner and a professional runner using humor, and a lot of this idea of we all take ourselves too seriously and let's use humor to humanize all of this. But where did that come? Where does that come from for you? Or do you think about it? You just go
I think
for
that it all stems back to my family. I mean, even when I had my biggest successes as a runner, my parents and my siblings were right there to bring me back down to planet Earth. Like no one actually let me celebrate, my big wins. But that's kind of like a big family Irish heritage energy, very sarcastic. And that is a love language to me. It's like being made fun of. And so through these skits that I do, I try and make fun of people, but like in showing that I'm making fun of myself. Like I don't want you to feel like I'm targeting you, but I am in doing so targeting myself. And I think that's great. I think self-deprecation is a really good skill to have. I think people just need to chill out when it comes to running, especially because I'm like, the world is quite literally falling apart. We're having a really hard time right now. Are we really going to focus on running and stress about running? Like that's the one thing we're trying to do to relieve our stress. So let's all grow up, grow up. And I get so frustrated when I see people, it just like turning into a bad time for them. And I'm like, I just want this to be a good time for you. So it definitely stems. I went through a period when I was more competitive, that it was a very serious endeavor. But I still had a great time. Like my best memories from college are joking around with my teammates.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was, even when it's serious, it can be so fun.
Yeah.
And so, anytime I can kind of relieve the pressure valve and let people just be like, okay, actually, let's have a little perspective here.
Totally. Oh, totally. I really like subscribe to this. I don't know where it's from, but this idea of like some things are too important to be taken seriously. Like that very much feels true. Like when it's a real emotion, like I immediately need to make a joke. Like I'm the one at a funeral that's like, oh, how can we make a joke about what's happening? Which is partly like I'm uncomfortable and I'm like hiding something, but I also am trying to kind of like help others feel better too.
It makes difficult things approachable.
Yeah.
Just like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just listening to Amy Poehler talk about this, and she's like, it's taking the elevator. Like if I can take the elevator from crying to laughing, it's the fastest way up.
Yeah.
And the faster I can get there, the better.
Yes.
Yeah,
the overly deep question. They say that humor is hiding something, or we're like is there
trauma?
a deep wound that you're actually working through and deflecting from?
I'm very, very lucky. I don't have like the dark demons that a lot of like comics
You're
have.
not doing cocaine and you're not
There's
drunk
no
right now.
cocaine.
At 10
I'm not
a.m.
wasted. Yeah, there's no like childhood trauma.
Yeah.
But
I'm
I
just funny,
don't
guys.
think
Yeah.
that I process things healthily. Like
Yeah.
I would say like there's been some grief in the last few years. Do I think that I've processed them yet? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it definitely is a cover up. I do my best to kind of like when I'm off camera to like work through some stuff. But
Yeah.
no, for the most part, I'm just really lucky. And
Yeah.
I mean, I sit in this like privileged bird's nest, right? Where I'm like, where I hesitate sometimes to be like, lighten up, have fun. But it's like easy
Yeah.
for me to say that because I have food in my fridge and I have a job and I have, you know,
Well, you
healthy
have an
children.
awesome like level of gratitude, like based on I don't know how you would describe it, but I think growing up in a circumstance where you currently sort of have even just strictly sounds like economically, financially, a different life than you grew up in. It makes sense to look around and be like, fuck yeah, like I'm so grateful for this experience, as opposed to people that come from a certain level and they're like,
Yeah.
I'm maybe at that level or below where I came from and feeling a little bit like, damn, where did we all go wrong? So the gratitude element is incredible.
Yeah, you gotta overdo it with the gratitude sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you gotta recognize it.
Another question, as we're all like quietly hiding children behind ourselves, but I was curious how you think about bringing kids into your content or not. And if it's a deep thought or an evolving decision or what it means to you to have kids there, and even how your audience responds when they are versus aren't there.
Yeah, my audience has gotten really used to me just never talking about them.
Yeah.
There are occasions where like I talk about them, but I feel really strongly to not put them on the internet. The internet's such a weird place. It's a dangerous place.
Yeah.
Especially for kids. And so not only is it like their stories, like I don't need to be telling their stories of their life without their consent, but gosh, it's so freaking weird. Like if I put up like a really cute photo of my children, people will save it. And you're like, why are you saving that? What are you saving it for? And it's like, well, okay, there's some really dark branches of the web, and it can seem like a really innocent picture of your child, and it's like, well, no, like these are so anyway, all that to say, I keep them very far away from it. They have no idea what I do for work, and they won't be in any of my videos. There have been a couple videos that I've done where for womb bicycles, because they're the best bikes ever, and I just show like their little legs pedaling. Like that's as far as it goes, and it's a little bit about them, kind of like trying to keep up with them on a run. But I
was curious. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like wasn't one of the early videos that kind of took off for you was involved a jogging stroller.
Yes, and
so
Julian's in that video.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's
and
just
that was
interesting.
Early.
There's like an implication that you have kids. It doesn't mean they're the prop. I was just curious, like. I don't know. We've talked to some other people who have started their own thing of different versions, and it's sort of like they're plugging along. And then the thing that made it sort of hockey stick moment was, and the kid ran through the background with a trash can on his head. You know what I mean? And then that was the thing that kind of turned things. Yeah, took off. I don't know what you make of that. Like, it seems like
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because they were, again, I had like 2,000 followers when I put up that first video.
Yeah.
And then that's the one that took off. Well,
we're working on getting our 2,000, Laura, whatever. She's like, I had no one 2,000. One of them was my sister Kelly. She won't follow you.
Yeah, my sister Kelly, she's not around.
Kelly, follow us, please.
Don't worry, Kelly doesn't even like my videos, so don't take offense.
I'm gonna make a channel just for Kelly.
Just for Kelly.
Sorry, we were talking about something important. What was it?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, like he's like, you can see his face and stuff, and then I realized, okay, so the one specific thing happened, which was, I was following someone else for a long time, and she had a baby. The baby became a toddler. I think the her daughter was probably like 5. And I saw her at an event, and I was going to see her mom. Like I was there to like, I bought the ticket to see the mom, and I saw the daughter from like across the way, and I go, oh, there's so-and-so. And then I caught myself and I was like, I know what her daughter looks like. I feel really uncomfortable that I knew that her age, her name, her favorite, what she wears. I know everything. I know where she goes to elementary school.
Yeah.
Like all these things seemed relatively innocent to me as I'm like taking in this content and I'm watching it, because it's like, oh, I'm just getting to know this influencer, I'm getting to know her family, and we've become so normalized that I'm like, oh, that's normal. But when I noticed her, saw her, and realized that I could call her name out and act like her friend, and she's 5, so she doesn't know, she'd probably be like, okay, she's mommy's friend. Like it was so disturbing to me. And I was like, oh, this needs to be something that I pay attention to, because we live in a city. I am very hopeful and optimistic, and I don't think that anyone's preying on my children. But at the same time, their faces don't even need to be known. You know, like people don't need to stop and be like, oh, wait, are you Laura Green's son? Like that's so strange.
Totally.
And so let me just listen, if I can remove any danger that like the things that we can control, which are very little, very few things, I can take that one away. So at least I can do that. And then I will like reference being a mom. I will reference having children. But people are really funny. I mean, sometimes like right now I go to CrossFit in the morning, so I don't wear my rings. People will pick up on that if I don't wear rings for like a week, and they'll be like, and sometimes they ask.
She's divorced.
Sometimes they're just like a subreddit on it.
It
has really care so much
as we're like figuring out how to build this, and you know, interacting with people with like, I don't know, millions of followers versus us, and like kind of figuring out what it takes. I don't know, trying to balance, like there's a level of kind of self-exploitation that sometimes like seems necessary, that is engaging to an audience, but also you want to like kind of preserve yourself on a level, but you also want to build your brand. I don't know, I just find it obviously everyone's grappling with it, but I just find it very interesting as it's
really interesting.
Like
I
wander
would have
into this.
Triple the followers if I put my kids on.
I'm sure.
Easily.
If
I had more storylines about Connor and I's relationship,
people
would feel like they got to know me better. It would make me more vulnerable. It would create that parasocial relationship that people have with content creators. I set such a hard boundary at the beginning of not doing that. My content is 90% about running, which is like so G-rated and also just so easy to keep like in this one category. So there are parasocial relationships where people feel like they know me well, but that's okay, because I'm like, you only know this very small sliver of who I am. And that's okay. That's the part I'll let you see. It's interesting because it's like I potentially really take this into the next realm. I've been kind of like at the same level probably for the last 6 to 12 months. So it's like, oh, you could be like, oh, she's stopped growing, but I'm totally okay with that.
Good for you.
Because it's preserving.
Sacrifices.
That's another theme of a lot of people we've talked to that I find really impressive and important for people to hear, is like understanding when is it enough. Like America and maybe human instinct is to grow and do more and have more and make more and all those things. And I think there's something really powerful about models of people who are like, I'm good with where I am, because it allows, there's so much other stuff. It's not just about this. Like this is a component of my broader life. And if I did more, and maybe one day you'll do more in different ways, but like, I think it's nice to see people that are ambitious, and whether they describe themselves as type B, but are secretly type A. Like, I think that's really important for people to hear and know, because like more isn't always more.
Right. To what end? Right.
Yes.
It's like,
exactly.
So if I said yes to every partnership deal that came across, I would make a ton of money, but also I would be putting out an ad every other day. I would lose my following because people would no longer trust me. And so there's so much there that's like, if I said yes to every travel engagement, oh my gosh, I would be on the road every other week at a different race. So I've limited that boundary is once a month at most. It's just, you have to figure out what works best for your kids and for your relationships, because I'm like also like really invested in my friendships at home. My friendships are not online. Like I've made friends via Instagram, but like I have in real life, how
hold on to them
whole life. Yeah. And and so like
great.
they barely even know what I do for work. And I think that's really healthy.
Totally.
Absolutely.
So
in that real life world, how do you think of yourself as a mom or a mother? Like, how do you associate with being a mother?
Yeah. After my first kid, that was like rocked my world. And people are like, 1 to 2 is so hard. I'm like, no.
0 to 1.
0 to 1.
Yeah.
0 to 1 crushed me in such a big way. I, at the time, was leading November Project. So I was like kind of in front of this group 3 days a week and like, you know, super extroverted, always on the go. We were always doing these fun events and stuff. And everything just stopped, you know, like your whole life revolves around this little human. It rocked my whole identity in ways that like I didn't realize I relied so heavily on. One of them was being a runner and not being able to run. And and so I honestly, like that first year, maybe even 2, I would be like, I don't know if I identify as like a mom. I don't know if I'm doing this right. There was a lot of second guessing there. And then with the help of Zoloft,
good for you.
We're all same.
I know.
my best friend,
Sertraline.
Yeah. And just like a bigger acceptance, right? When you have your second kid, you're like, we're here. This is what we're doing. This is the circus. I'm not jetting off to China tomorrow or Japan or somewhere cool. Like I am here and this is going to go fast. So just, you know, like really do whatever you can to stay present. Now I totally identify with being a mom. Now it's like, it's the greatest joy, the biggest stress and the greatest joy at the same time. So I feel totally content when I look at new moms. That's what like my heart, like I aches for them a little, because you can see it in their face. It's like who am I anymore? Like my body doesn't belong to me anymore. My like schedule certainly doesn't belong to me. And you're like, when will I ever return to that? And you may never, but it's like you kind of evolve into this better version of yourself.
Forward, as Robin Arzon tells me. I always think about her. I think Robin she's such a great role model, and
she's such a hustler, isn't it? Hey, hustlers.
Yes. I love also she's always like, new moms, like you'll feel at home in your body again. And I still think about that. Our youngest is almost 4, and I still think about that concept of like, you'll feel at home here once.
I can't
eventually.
wait.
Yeah. It takes me takes me like 12 to 18 months after each baby.
Yeah.
And I know, doesn't that feel like forever?
It takes a lot of patience and a lot of, I don't know, especially I think for anyone. I think there's a unique way of suffering when you identify as an athlete. Otherwise, I'm a former athlete, you know, forever we're athletes, whatever. But so being fit was like something that I was part of how I felt okay about myself. And it's just really interesting to be like, there's going to be a period of time where that's not going to happen in a different way than like blowing out my ACL and like going through PT, which honestly, my physical therapist, when I did that, was like my favorite person. So yeah, I think that's one of the things was like, I just think mothers, we do a fuck ton. That's really incredible. Like, and even without even asking for it, like what we do for and with and to our bodies,
I know,
to bring these things into the world is amazing. And then how we emotionally consider that and deal with that and recover from that. Like, it's really remarkable. And I think there's such an urgency to just kind of like buck up and move on and like pretend it never happened. But I think we're also deeply, as we should be, affected by it, and it makes us better.
It's so interesting. Like even after 3 kids, you think I would have accepted that by now, you know, like going into my 3rd, I'm like, okay, you're going to gain weight. And then I gain weight after I deliver. So I deliver the baby, then I gain 15 pounds.
Nice.
So
what a
cute.
Gift.
Love that.
I think I'm there, Laura.
Love that for me. Love that for you, Vee.
I'm doing that.
It's so rough. Everyone's like, whoop, had the baby back to,
Oh, I know.
And then from there, like, I even look at myself in pictures now 10 months out, and I'm like, my face is still wide. I can't explain it. No one else cares. No one else even notices, but I do. And I see these pictures and I'm like, still doesn't look like me, still doesn't feel like me. But one day I will go for a run, and it like kind of just happened this week, but and I will feel like my soul has re-entered my body. I don't know what it is. It's a hormonal thing. It's like, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Here we are again.
Here we are. Okay. And then now we start picking it up. But like, I just started CrossFit again a couple weeks ago. That's been game changing. Just these incremental steps of like re-entering the space that you want to occupy and see for yourself. For me, it's a lot of it is travel too for work and feeling comfortable and not feeling so sad. And so, I think that just like with each month that passes, I get a little bit closer to Laura.
Well, it's really remarkable. You're doing so much, and you're doing so much in a way that is strong and vulnerable and in front of a lot of people. And
man,
it really
to be pregnant and postpartum online. Not
for the faint of heart. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think about that when I look at, I'm a Pelotoner, but I don't know. I saw Emma Lovewell coming back, and it was just interesting to see her. I don't know if it was true, but I don't know if you follow her, but she was back on the bike, whatever, how many months after, and she didn't look the way that she pre-baby looked yet, whatever. And I could just sort of sense a level of discomfort. She was out there making like, this is all great. I love myself and like, we're strong. But I could also feel that she was like, my boobs are bigger than I want them to be. And my pants feel tight. I don't know. I just could feel that. And it's just so, it makes me honestly almost cry just thinking about it. Because it's such it's so personal and so vulnerable. And so there's stupid shame attached to it. That's not fair. Also, you want to show up for your people and inspire them and be like, and this is fine. You know, it's really, it's a lot.
She's actually a perfect example because I think we had babies around the same time. And
how far out are you now? Ooh, sorry.
I'm 9 months. It was a July babe.
Nice.
And when she came back and I saw one of her classes and I noticed the same thing, and it made me so happy because I was like, it actually makes me so uncomfortable when these instructors come back and they have a six-pack.
They look
and I'm like,
same.
First off, how?
Yeah.
And second off, I really hope this was just genetic and not like you overworking your body to try and
societal. Yeah.
But it made me just like reflect upon myself, and I'm like, oh, it makes me feel so good seeing her in a very fit, a very strong, but a postpartum strong, like that will start kind of like reforming, shaping back to like who she was prior. And I was like, this is so relatable. This is how my body works too. It does not shed weight until about 18 months postpartum for whatever reason. It's annoying. But it does. And so I was like, oh, this is really nice. Like, and so then it kind of, and I was like, okay, people are watching you, Laura, a little bit, not as much as Emma Lovewell, but like, I'm like, okay,
Emma,
maybe they feel similarly, like they see you trying to do the thing, but like in a different body. And then that hopefully helps them feel a little bit more normal. So like,
for sure,
I have to kind of constantly remind myself of that because we all have our insecurities. Like, I don't have any confidence when it comes to my looks. All this other confidence that I have does not extend to my looks, unfortunately. But at the same time, I'm at the age where I don't give a shit. Like, I feel really lucky. I don't think I could have done this career shift in my 20s because I would have been too insecure about how I looked
actually
in
feel
every
that
shot.
Entirely about doing this now. It shocks my 20-year-old self would be like, who the fuck are you putting your face on Instagram speaking out loud?
So
like, what?
I know.
I'm like, who's going to see that? What are they going to think? And of course you look at them and you're like, oh my God, who is that? Like, similar to you, I'm almost 9 months postpartum and like feel like a stranger. Like when I see videos of myself, I'm like, what? Like, who is that? And I don't identify as that. I don't feel that way, whatever. And it's so hard to put yourself out there during this vulnerable time, and people need to see it. And it's okay. And like, it just is real and life. And so what are you going to do? Hide? No, like you just did this badass thing. So, okay, well, I'm going to
just do all your videos with a garbage bag over yourself for like
for a year.
Surprise!
I wish I fucking would. I wish I could.
I
But you
can't.
can't.
So can't. So deal with it. Yeah, I know.
You have
I
to
know.
look at me. If I have to look at me, you have to look at me.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Well, you
for
guys all look
sure.
amazing. So fuck the world.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
Yeah.
We are absolutely at time. I do have 3 short questions. Do you have like 3 minutes to do these rapid fire things? I apologize.
Of course.
Okay. Short answer, rapid fire questions.
I'm really bad at these.
Yeah. Feel free to speak as long as you
Because I
want.
just ramble.
Girl.
If you
1
could
minute
go
per
back,
answer.
yeah, exactly. If you could go back to your new mom self, is there anything that you would say to her?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say, honestly, you know what I would say? I would say educate the people around you prior to having that baby so they can help you when you don't see it. So like
Yeah.
I was deep in postpartum depression and anxiety. I had no idea.
Mhm.
I was in my bubble.
Mhm.
But also my husband had no idea because he had never seen it. He was
Mhm.
not educated on what that would look like.
Yeah.
And the people around us, I think, were just like a little too hesitant to speak up.
Yeah.
So I went unmedicated. Then I kind of luckily emerged from the fog about 8-9 months postpartum. And I was like, you know,
Yeah.
like, that's what that was. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I thought that was normal. I thought that I was just
Baby blues
exhausted.
or whatever.
I thought I
Yeah.
had baby blues. And so
Yeah.
now whenever my friends are having a baby for the first time, I'm just like, do some research and like
That's a good
really
idea.
talk to your partner
Yeah.
about things to look out for and give them the confidence to speak up about it because it's
Yeah.
also like, I'm sure really hard for them to do that because they're not trying to like, I'm sure I
Yeah.
would have snapped at
Yeah.
Connor if he was
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
but but yeah, for my second, I was like immediately like when I discharged from the hospital, I want to go on just like a low dose of Zoloft. Like let's try it out, and it was
Yeah.
the biggest game changer for me.
Good for you.
My postpartum experience was so wonderful with my
Mhm.
second and third, and it makes me sad because like I missed that with Jack.
Mhm.
But it's okay because I learned, and so yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing is when I tell people that, and I'm like, you may think that this is just part of being a new mom, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so hard, you know.
Yeah. That's such a good message because also people are, again,
It's a
we're
really
inclined
good
to be
one.
like, it's supposed to be hard. So like, let's just
Yes,
move on.
I don't know
but yeah.
why we've like built this idea of like misery into
I know.
postpartum.
Yeah.
There's no
Doesn't
time to
have to
feel that
be.
way
Yeah.
in America.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
You gotta
That's
get back to it.
that's
Yeah.
a huge part, right? Yeah.
So that might answer this next one, but we do also like to ask if there's one thing or a theme of something that would have made your journey, like sort of through motherhood thus far, easier. Is there something that comes to mind?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So then also on my second and third, we had moved like apartments. So like now we live in a different part of the city,
Mhm.
and the proverbial village that people like to speak of, we truly
Yeah.
do have it.
Oh,
And
good.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of it has to do with the neighbors and the community that we had built prior to having the
Mhm.
babies. So
Yep.
like the first month we never cooked, you know, there's always someone's
Yeah.
like help entertain the older child. I mean,
Amazing.
someone
It's nice.
someone brought this up the other day and they were like, the village doesn't exist. And I was like, oh gosh, I wish I could like take a little chunk of my village and give it to everyone because
Yeah.
I mean the other night Connor was in New York and we were outside on the bikes, just like we live on a dead end, so we were just
Mhm.
kind of like
Oh,
riding
nice.
bikes outside, and our neighbor came out and she has 2 little kids and she's like, Connor's gone, and I'm like, yeah. She comes out with like, she cut her dinner in half, gave it to me. We go inside. We live in
Aw.
a 2 family, so
Yeah.
upstairs she came downstairs,
Oh my gosh.
hung out with the boys while I bathed the baby and did the dishes, and then like read them books before bed. And I'm like, there's no questions asked. There wasn't any planning involved in this. This is just supporting your
Yeah.
neighbor. And I think that a lot of it has to do with like what we give to the community, right? Like
I
you
was
have
gonna
to be
say,
a good neighbor.
Yes.
Yep.
I
So
think part of it is you have to
work
build
at
it too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're like one of the only houses in Cambridge that has like a pretty okay backyard. I mean, it's tiny, but it's like, so it's
I
just
saw
like
your bouncy
always
house video.
open.
That's solid.
Yes. It's like a little postage stamp
Yeah.
of grass, but
Yeah.
like it's usually bumping on the
Kind of all you need.
weekends. Like
Yeah,
it's an
that's
open
awesome.
door. So like I think that
Invite me
that,
anytime.
yeah, you're welcome
There's like
whenever you guys
bouncy
want.
house. I'd like to try it.
Come on over. I took up the whole yard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just if you want the village, you have to work hard to build it.
Yeah.
But it's totally worth it. I mean, it will change everything about parenting.
Yeah. I
You
totally
know?
agree. Good job. Yeah. Great for both of you. Okay. Last question. Your kids may be listening. But Kelly will never listen.
Kelly's not.
But your
Not
children
Kelly.
might listen.
Poor Kelly's been dragged. She better not listen after all of this. Or change her minds, Kelly. Change her mind.
I'm definitely going to send it to her now. So.
Your kids might one day listen to this. Is there anything you want to say to them?
I just think that they're magic. Yeah, they're just, I hope that they turn into like the good people that they are right now.
Yeah.
I hope they continue that into adulthood. But yeah, I just think that they're incredible. And they've given Connor and I like far more than we give them. And so I think just like that reminder of like just existing is magic. You don't have to be anything exceptional by culture standards, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, they're so cute. They all have their own little unique personalities going on right now. So
yeah. Well, they're lucky to have you and Connor.
Oh, they are.
Anyways, Laura, this has been awesome.
Yeah, thanks for the good
thanks
morning.
for inviting me.
Yes.
A cup of coffee.
I know. It's filled my cup. No, it's really cool to see you. And I'm so, knowing you more now, I'm like so glad that I was glad anyway, but I believe in who you are and what you're bringing to the world and the platforms that you're building. And I think you're really built to be doing this in the way that you're doing it. And I'm so glad that you're making it happen.
Hopefully it doesn't shut down tomorrow. But if it does, I'll be at Mount Auburn Hospital.
Laura.
I know.
A sweet lady.
Laura, very impressive. And one of those people who just seems to have boundless energy and enthusiasm to do all the things all the time and so much joy in doing them. She reminds me of a lot of like sort of Jason's siblings. I think there is a special thing that happens when you come from a family of a large family.
You need a personality to get.
Yeah, you're fighting for airtime.
Yeah.
Yes. You're a little bit fending for yourself, but also like very happy in chaos of a community and are willing to build that because you know how good it could feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another through line, another consistent thing that has happened with maybe not all, many of our guests is this just like risk factor, just like, I don't know, I just kind of did this thing because it's what felt good in that moment. And like, I'm just kind of like figuring it out and being such a cool role model for with our kids.
Yes.
I think it's so cool that her kids get to grow up with a mom who like took a chance and like luckily it worked. And even if it didn't, she just was like figuring it out.
Trying something outside of the expected path. Totally. I may have said this before, but one of the motivations to do this or some version of trying something else was, and I have to remind myself this, was like to model trying, but also model like what if, like how to deal with it if it doesn't work. Like, you know, failing is part of life and that's okay. And
it's okay. Yeah.
It's also trying and it not working right away is also part of it. And like working through that adjustment period. So, and also they're so young. Part of me is like, they won't even know what I'm doing for work until they're like 17 years old.
You're right.
Who knows what I'm going to be doing
Laura,
then?
so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a through line. I also I hammered it home when she said it, but I also liked it doesn't have to always be this way, but I think there's a lot of consideration that goes into, especially if you started your own thing, but whatever way you're working, there's a lot of interest in like, or an instinct to be like, you're intentional about growth. Yep. And growing your business just to grow the business is not really the general model. There's a lot of like, what's the trade-off of ramping this up?
Yep.
I feel like we heard that from Rana in the episode that recently came out. We heard that from
your mom.
April. We heard that from my mom. Yeah. So I also think that is like kind of a counter culture idea of like defining enough. Because I think we always talk about like, are we good enough? But I think it's also, and this came up with Dr. Zucker. She was like, when's it going to be enough? Like, I just got this book out and like, I said, I'd never do another book, but like I have another proposal already. Like, I think it is knowing your own and just always just doesn't mean you have to have an absolute answer, but checking in with yourself about like, is this enough? Is this good? That was another thing. And I also appreciated that I do think behind everyone, but I love asking the question mostly of people that present super confident, super happy, super joyful, super let's not take it too seriously, brain jokes. Like I think that is such a powerful superpower, and it's also often a way to like deal with your own shit. And often it's like we behave in ways that like not in a bad way, but like we have behaviors that make us feel good. And what is it about? Like I personally have such an aversion to sadness because I feel sad. Like sadness is part of who I am, but I also really want to not feel sad. And so let's be funny instead.
Sure.
And let's laugh and sort of like make fun of things as opposed to like going too far down the dark rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So I was glad that she kind of talked about that towards the end. And even just postpartum depression, anxiety, and talking
So
about
real.
Zoloft and like all of that's so real for so many people.
But especially for someone who's like, you're so happy, there's no way that would affect you, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's really, and sometimes it affects that personality type the most.
Even more. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was very cool. And then also I loved our conversation about like essentially being vulnerable, especially as like on a physical level.
Yeah. Yes.
As a postpartum or pregnant that is real. And that's so, I don't know I don't know if I would be able to do it. It's something I'd want to be able to do. Dr. Zucker again. We were talking about how much some people take on in service of a mission, how much people also take on a personal level in order to help others feel better, you know?
Yeah.
And part of it is maybe showing up in a performative way with confidence actually does help you feel more confident. Like,
Yep.
they do study things of like, if you're feeling sad and you force a smile, like you actually, it does trigger something in your brain chemically that says, maybe I'm a little bit happy, but obviously not in a toxic positivity way.
Sure.
I don't know.
I appreciated the acknowledgement of that. I think like that's something.
Hello.
You and I have talked about a lot, at least off camera, but something that like even being a support person for people who are postpartum and like being in the depths of it with other people, I don't think I ever like realized it, that it was such a thing until experiencing it myself, which I think I can genuinely say that the physical experience of my body not being my body and feeling and looking so different than it ever has been like the hardest part of like pregnancy and postpartum for me. Like I feel so uncomfortable in my body and looking at myself and being myself, like whatever. And I don't think that is a thing that's talked about enough. So hearing even for someone who is so physically fit and able and capable still struggles with it, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's comforting. That's so important. People need to hear that.
I totally agree. And you are both being very brave every day.
Tell me how pretty I am, Sarah. No.
You're beautiful. You are.
No, but when she was like, my face is white, I was like, oh my God, I literally see pictures and I'm like, why is my face half a photo? So it's so real. So anybody else who's going through that right now.
Right.
We're all there with you.
And I honestly, I don't know what the solve is. Like there's self-love and being like, no matter how I look, I'm beautiful and I'm okay. I accept myself as I am.
Yes.
But, and then also like, what if I really don't feel good this way?
Yes.
And how do I also want to talk about that, but I don't want to feel bad about it. But also I want to get back to who I was. I like the Robin Arzon again talks about like, let's not go backwards. Let's become the next version of ourselves, whatever. Getting to a place where you feel better. How do we talk about that in a way that doesn't feel like you're doing that because you don't like who you are now? You know what I mean? Like it all just, it's hard to know how to navigate it.
But also like, I don't know. I think we think that way because of like societal expectations, whatever, and comparing ourselves. But like, at least speaking for myself, I think I'm not even comparing myself to other people. I'm just comparing myself to who I know is the best version of V and like what feels good for V, not V and compared to someone else. Cause I am not that someone else and I'm not going to be that someone else, but you know, it is hard though. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a balance. I don't know what the balance is, but
I definitely found that line of thinking never went away, but it subsided with
It's
each
better.
kid.
Yeah.
Because I had evidence that, okay, I do kind of recover myself
Yeah.
physically eventually each
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
whether I think about it a lot and walk with the baby maybe more than I need to,
Yeah.
or if I just veg out and relax and like live through it.
Yeah. I have a feeling, I mean, like what you just said, this will be one of those things, hindsight's 2020, like when you're about to have like like say you're about to quit a job and you're like, oh my God, this is impossible. I can't do it. And then you do it. And then you're like, I need
Yeah.
to remember this for next time.
Yeah.
And now being on the other side, I'll be like, oh my God, that felt so permanent and felt so forever. And
yes. Actually, to that point, I still remember this. My boss at the time I think I was pregnant with either first or second kid. I think first kid. And she told me she'd had 2 kids by then already. And I was sort of alluding to some of this. And she's like, also though, in retrospect, it's such a short time.
I know.
In the context of life.
So true.
So that's, but we all want things when we want them now. No.
Yes, it's hard. Yeah. It is such a short period of time. It just feels like so long. Also because you're getting no sleep and like not eating the way you normally do. Like it feels, and it feels like so short too at the same time. I don't know.
And the way that you're nourishing yourself food wise affects what your kids like. You're all connected. So it's like, I don't know. It's almost like just don't care about it until
it's a lot
you
going
can, like,
on at the
separate
moment.
yourselves. Yes. Okay. We have to think about joy. Dear Joy. Amy Poehler is currently on like a circuit of podcasts. And which, by the way, I never worked in my little dig at Laura about her semi-recent skit where she was like mocking. It was like New Year's. She's like, I just feel like the world needs another podcast. And so I'm going to start a podcast. It just felt like the right time. And she was like,
Laura,
I don't know what it was called.
It
was like Laura running in the alley or something. And I was like, okay, cool. Exactly. But it wasn't this podcast. Anyway, so joy. I feel like I want to laugh more. I want to find life amusing more. It's a way that it's a disposition I typically have. I feel like the macroclimate has been a source of anxiety and on a serious level. But I think we also need to like not take our day-to-day so serious. Like the macro is to me stressful because there's a sense of like I can't control what's happening. So I think I get serious about like let's control what I can and in a serious way and make sure that it works. And I think that's nice, but I also we should have fun and do silly things. And I don't know how I'm going to do that this week, but I will. I want to watch stand-up. Okay. I love stand-up.
I have suggestions for you.
Hit me with some suggestions. Yeah.
I know laughing is really the best.
Yeah.
I love laughing.
Yeah. But I was around about going back to where I started from. Joy, Amy Poehler. She's
I was
on.
like, so is Joy
I don't know. Sorry, I don't know where we got lost. But
Joy.
She is Joy in Inside Out. So I now my association, and maybe that's what triggered the laughing or making jokes of life, was that she's a funny person, obviously. And maybe I'll read her latest book.
That's a good one.
Which isn't fresh or anything.
Wait, not the Smarty or what? No, that's a.
No, that's Tina Fey, which is I highly do recommend Bossy Pants. Oh, actually, Amy Poehler had a solid interview with Smartless or on Smartless.
I think I saw that on
in which I was
YouTube?
Informed that she was previously married to Will Arnett, which I did not know.
What?
Yeah, they were married and had 2 kids together, from what it sounds like.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
I
was similarly shocked.
Amy Poehler?
Amy Poehler. Amy Poehler.
When were they married?
I don't know. I can Wikipedia really fast, but yeah.
No. Wow. Okay, wait. But your joy. Hold on.
Okay, so my joy is comedy. Let's find fun. I'm gonna find a jokey book, not a psychological thriller, not a self-help book. I'm gonna find a funny fucking book.
I think I have funny book suggestions.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Someone just like make a book called The Funny Book. Okay, where's your joy?
I had a lot of moments of joy this week, but my biggest one, have you heard of the show Dying for Sex? Or is it?
Oh, I have heard of it. I have not watched it.
So
Yes.
based on a podcast, long story short,
Yes.
this woman is diagnosed with terminal cancer and then decides to like totally change her life and then like be super authentic to her, whatever. There was a beautiful conversation that took place in one of the episodes about death, which triggered my backstory for people listening. I did death doula training like 2.5 years ago now, which is insane. And have not taken actionable steps to like actually practice in that field, even though it's something that I've really wanted to do. I just haven't been like settled in a place long enough to do it.
Yeah.
So I woke up Monday morning, like saying out loud basically to Bear, like, this is something Mom wants to do. And I'm tired of like talking about things I want to do and not doing them.
Yeah.
And then an hour later, I went to a coffee shop to get treats for my partner's birthday. And there was this old man sitting alone and he asked something about me. I don't even know what happened. And come to find out his wife had just died and he was really lonely. And I sat with him for 2 hours and we had a lovely conversation.
Yeah.
And then we exchanged phone numbers and now we're going to get coffee and we're going to be coffee buddies.
Oh.
And he's just this like 85-year-old man. And I was like, this is why part of this, like, obviously this is in post-death where like the person is already passed, but part of the reason why I find that such valuable service and like relationship is for this like community support, talking about villages with Laura.
Yeah.
Like you need to be surrounded by people.
Yeah.
And it was such a big moment of joy because I was like, that's why we moved here. I don't think that a conversation like that or like an interaction like that would have happened in California. And it was really special. So that's my moment of joy. It was great.
That's beautiful. That's the best moment of joy we've ever had on this show.
Jack, we love you.
That's great. And I hope you do more of that. It also makes me think of because you're very well suited to do it and not enough people are there to support folks in that moment. But I also think it makes me think about like putting ideas into the universe and
it was really
it
crazy.
Really kind of opens up the universe to you. And I
was
felt
truly,
that.
Yeah. Like one of the, like, I don't do that enough because I'm like, oh, it sounds so woo woo, but it was truly like, I said it and then
it happens.
So
well, it's because we're living in a simulation. So if we didn't already know.
I'm also going to space next week.
Katy Perry. Good. Finally. They asked you. I'm surprised you were on the first train.
I know.
Well,
anyway.
Amazing. You're beautiful and amazing. You're doing a great job.
Skinny.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. And I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for doing this. And I can't wait to catch up soon. All right.
Laura, thanks for taking time this morning.
And Kelly, I hope you're not listening to this.
Kelly, comment sunflower if you're listening.
Exactly.
If you made it to the end.
You're listening. Yes.
All right.
I
love you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode and we can reach even more rock stars like you. The Mothers is a production of Backline Media, shining a light on those who carry the team.